Micah Frankel, Cage Minds, joined right now by LFA 60 headliner Clayton York. Clayton, thank you for the time, sir. How you doing?
Absolutely, I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Doing good, doing well. It's fight week. How you feeling?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I had a kid. My daughter was born 3 weeks ago, so a little bit tired, but doing pretty well. Winding down training camp, feeling good.
Wow. How busy are you right now?
It's not terrible. It's full, but it's all good stuff. So I feel pretty good.
So not really a hindrance, but how much workaround did you have to do with camp, just with appointments and birth and obviously and everything? How much was this a different experience for camp?
It was a pretty short training camp. We took a short notice. I believe about 4 weeks was about the notice we had, and my daughter was born 2 weeks into that. So it's quite a bit different. Normally I like to have a 10-week training camp or so, especially going into a 5-round fight. So this is different, but I don't think it makes any difference. I felt pretty good. I was in pretty good shape. I fought pretty recently and didn't take any damage. So all things considered, doing really well and feeling really good.
Did you expect an opportunity like this to be coming up your avenue after the win just 3 months ago?
I did. Not so soon. I wasn't planning on taking anything for a while, obviously with expecting a child. But, opportunities like this, you kind of got to take them, when they come along.
And talk about that a little bit. Getting this opportunity, your debut with LFA, it's a title fight, it's Access TV headliner, all of that. That's huge for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Every fight's the biggest fight. It's like they say, the most important one is the next one. But this one is certainly the highest profile, gets the most traffic, and it's got as much writing on it as any other fight does. But this one's a little bit special, just being in that it's a LFA headliner debut for them, and in a title fight.
Short notice, daughter being born. Does it almost kind of feel like it's a little bit of whirlwind, like you're going through the motions and it's just kind of happening fast, all of this?
Yeah, to some degree. But this is what you train for. This is why you stay ready. You stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So that when opportunities like this come along, you can just jump on them. And that's where I've been. That's kind of like how I like to stay anyway. We're always trying to improve in all assets. Physically, mentally, technically. So this is it's kind of it's somewhat expected.
So you were, even though you weren't looking for a fight per se, you were still keeping a pretty heavy gym regimen going?
Maybe not very heavy, but, certainly maintaining, lifting a little bit more. Didn't have to watch my weight. So, I'm coming into this one pretty strong, pretty heavy. And my gas tank is still there because, I've, like we had said, just fought recently, and I kept up on my cardio pretty well.
Having done the lifting a little more, not expected this fight, does the body feel a little different? You mentioned strength right there. Do you feel any different than you normally would on the Monday before a fight?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I feel any different right now. My weight's right where it needs to be. It might even be a blessing in disguise having these short training camps, or this short training camp. It's nice to have a lot of time to prepare and know that your gas tank is there and feel confident. But, with those long training camps, sometimes little nagging injuries come up. You get a little bit more worn down than you should. Maybe lose a little bit of too much weight just from the volume of training that you're doing. So it worked out perfectly, and I feel great about my cardio and my durability right now. I don't really have a whole lot of aches and pains like I typically would with a 10-week training camp and all the sparring. And, so it may work out just to be a blessing in disguise.
You went into the gym. Why you started training?
It's all kind of funny. I just kind of fell into it. I'd always been a fan of mixed martial arts. I wrestled as a kid. I followed it fairly closely, through college. I was always drawn to it. And I actually got paired with. I was an exercise science major, and I did an internship with a strength and conditioning coach up in the Portland area. I moved from Corvallis up to Portland, and he the jiu-jitsu gym, and brought me in there. And I, somewhat familiar because of the wrestling background that I had, but I just took to it right away. And one thing led to another, and I just kind of fell in love with it. Started spending time studying and getting better, and realized I kind of had an affinity for it. And here we are now. It's somewhat surreal, but in some ways, it's also somewhat expected.
Having had a high-level college athletic background yourself with college football, were you a little bit hungry for something competitive? Were you missing that before you started doing martial arts?
Oh, absolutely. I had a somewhat of a bittersweet college experience. I had the opportunity to play for a big program, and there's a lot of great experiences that come along with that. Also playing at that level, you sustain some injuries and you get broken down. And football's a rough game, So I had some concussions. I have some permanent joint injuries that I had from playing football that left me pretty broken down when I was done playing. I thought that I'd end up playing in the NFL. I thought that I'd have this long athletic career and would be making money. And I finished my senior year of football, injured, unable to train. That dream just kind of washed away, and I kind of found my way into this. Kind of one thing replaced another, and I'm glad it did happen. I think football's a rough game, especially when you get to the pro level. If you're good enough to stay there, it breaks down your body. And I know mixed martial arts is no picnic either, but I think as long as you can not sustain too much damage and you're fairly successful, I think it's a lot better on your body in the long term. And for me, it's just more fulfilling. I enjoy this more.
I don't want to think of it as almost like a Bambi phase, but were you surprised at how your body reacted to the training to martial arts after, like you said, having had those injuries? Don't know if you would have taken it slower to start. Were you surprised that you weren't hurting possibly as much as you thought you would be?
I wouldn't say I wasn't hurting much. There's certainly aches and pains that come along with that style of training as well. But the thing is, you're not running head on into people every day, 3 times a week, and then playing a game on Saturday for 3 hours where you're going heads with people. So my brain health is certainly better. I wouldn't say I was necessarily surprised by it, but I think it's certainly better on your body long term.
And how far into training, into even the amateur run, or when did you decide, I'm going to go pro, I'm going to give this 100% full effort?
I think I trained for probably 1.5 to 2 years before I took an amateur fight, and honestly, I probably wasn't even ready when I did. I fought 5 amateur fights, and actually my last amateur fight was a loss. I think that loss was actually probably the best thing that could have ever happened, because it kind of made me realize that this was all or nothing thing. So it was after that loss, I said, you know what, I'm just going to go pro. I'm going to devote more of my time to this, and I'm going to hit it hard the same way I would have with football or, any other professional sport. So about 2 years into my amateur career is when I decided to make the change.
Those changes to become more serious about it.
I have great knowledge at the gym that I train at, Impact Jiu-Jitsu. Our jiu-jitsu is, I would say, pretty much second to none. We have 40 black belts. We have a ton of tough brown belts as well. Years and years upon years of experience and knowledge in there. But we're a jiu-jitsu academy. So I really branched out, and I started spending more time on my striking. I started wrestling with some coaches at Oregon State and made drastic improvements in my wrestling. And also coming from football, it doesn't require that much of a gas tank. You play for 6 seconds at a time, and you have 40 seconds to recover before the next play. And you got to be in shape, of course, but it's just not the same world. It's drastically different. So, building my cardio, building my durability, to go from 3-minute rounds to 5-minute rounds, and fight tougher people and fight at a faster pace. That was a big adjustment as well. Just realizing that I needed to focus on the physical part of training as well.
And how did you feel also with that different strength and conditioning training? Because with your athletic background, you'd been doing it all your life, but not so much for power and size, but as you said, more for leaning out and more cardiovascularly speaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's made a drastic difference. It's good to be strong. Strength is never a weakness, but there's a point of diminishing returns when you're developing speed and power, for a fight, because that only lasts so long. So developing the ability to maintain that over 25 minutes is, it's no easy process, and it takes time. It takes a pretty big commitment to that.
Now, currently, are you a full-time fighter, or are you also still with a job during the day?
I work a job. I'm a personal trainer in the Portland area, strength and conditioning coach. So I work part-time. I train full-time, and so I'm not part-time. I'm not part-time as a fighter. I'm a full-time fighter, full-time athlete, and that's my first commitment. But at this level, we all have to work jobs. We got to pay bills. And I got 2 mouths to feed at home.
Being in the gym and having that knowledge also, how has that helped you with devising your own nutrition and strength and conditioning plans?
Oh, it's been huge. That's I'm certainly not the most knowledgeable person in that, but I do have a pretty good understanding. And fortunately, I have access to, with the industry that I work in, I have access to people who are smarter than me, frankly, that I can ask about that. And I've seen nutritionists before. I've gotten help with my strength and conditioning from not only my coaches but other people that are trained across multiple different platforms and multiple different sports. So I'm blessed. I have access to all kinds of knowledge in every facet of the game, and I've taken advantage of it, and it's paid off pretty well so far.
What were your first thoughts when you got this opportunity?
Oh, initially I said no. And I thought about it. I looked at, I looked at what we had here, and I talked to my coach about it a little bit, and we agreed timing's not exactly perfect, but when is everything perfect? These are big opportunities we got to take advantage of, and I feel good about it. I have no problem with confidence. So we just decided to take it.
Julius Anglickas at LFA 60. What do you like about this matchup? I think we're pretty evenly matched. I think he's a tough guy. He's obviously pretty talented. There's not a lot of film on him because he finishes everybody real fast. Good crisp boxer, long straight punches, not a lot of reads, or not a lot of tells. And pretty good wrestling IQ. Place I think that that I'm quite a bit better than him is on the ground game, the jiu-jitsu. As I said, I come from a school that has a wealth of knowledge that I've been fortunate enough to learn from and gain experience from. So that's where we definitely have a considerable advantage. Was it a love with the ground game for you when you first started it? Is that still the part of the game that you enjoy more?
I love all of it. I definitely have an affinity for grappling, and that's where my talent is. And I've really developed my ability to strike and to be dangerous on my feet as well. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily my favorite part of the game, so I love the whole thing, but it's definitely the part that I excel the most at.
And you had mentioned not a lot of film on your opponent, but that's a likewise issue, right?
Yeah, it's the same story. We both finished everybody we fought in the first round. I believe he has. Actually, he may have one loss, but that's just kind of the way it goes at this level. It's not like we both have 15 fights and we've gone a distance a ton of time and we have all this film on each other to study. But I think we have enough, and there's probably enough of me out there. He's probably picked up a few things that he's going to look to take advantage of, and we'll see what happens.
I know you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. You didn't even expect to be taking this fight, but it would feel like with the status of the division, just the winner of this fight is looking for something big afterwards, possibly going up to that next level.
Mm-hmm. I'm in no rush for anything to happen. I think that all of us constantly have things that we have to improve on. I think I have the talent. I think I have the experience at this point where I could be competitive at the next level. But the most important fight is the next one. So I'm looking at this one right now, and what happens after that is what happens.
Short training camp. Both of you guys finish fights early. So I'm more than sure that this one's going to be a 5-round slugfest or something, a grueling long fight, just because that's just the way MMA math kind of works with these things. What do you think about that kind of premonition, that this could be a long, grueling fight?
I think you have to be ready for that every time. That being said, I'm capable of finishing this at any point on the feet or on the ground. So I'm prepared for 5 rounds and prepared for a very mentally grueling, physically grueling, tough fight. But I'm not going into it with any expectations. I expect to win. And outside of that, we'll find the win whatever way we can, whatever presents itself, and whatever happens. But that's the only expectation, is to win.
And I'm guessing you were meeting with those expectations, nothing that you definitely expect from Julius exactly to do. I'm guessing you're kind of open to seeing how it's going to play out in that first round.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. He knows how to strike. He knows how to wrestle. I'm sure he's as confident as I am. So I don't know if he's going to try to keep it standing. I don't know if he's going to try to put me on the ground and make me eat my words for saying I'm better on the ground than he is. So we'll see.
So you've talked about it, the ground game, wrestling, athletic, any other kind of attributes that people should expect from first time seeing you nationally on TV Friday night?
I really think that pretty much sums it up. I will humbly say that I'm probably one of the best athletes at 205, the best prospects in the country right now. I think he could probably say the same thing. I think I may be a little quicker. I think we've pretty much summed it up as far as that goes. I think we know what to expect.
Cool. I meant to bring it up earlier that you said you've been a fan of the sport. Those early days when you were a fan, who was your guy?
It's honestly hard to narrow it down. I was always a big fan of all the dominant wrestlers when I was a kid, because that's all I knew how to do. I grew up wrestling a little bit, had no concept of the jiu-jitsu or the striking game at all. And I remember watching Matt Hughes and Randy Couture and all those guys, and it'd be hard to narrow it down to one. But I used to love all the dominant wrestlers.
Awesome. Clayton York, last but not least, can you tell everybody how to follow you on social media and the sponsors you need to shout out to?
Yeah, of course. C4_205 is my Instagram handle. I have a few local sponsors right now that have been wonderful over the past few years. I wouldn't be where I am right now without their support, because I just simply wouldn't have the time to devote to this. Atlas Motors in Portland, Elements Roofing in Portland, Creative Waste Solutions, Koi Fusion, CBD Superette. There's a few more. Those are really the primary people that have. Can't show enough gratitude.
Awesome, sir. Thank you for the time. It was great getting to talk to you. Everybody, tune in Friday night if you can't be there in Iowa. It's LFA 60 on Access TV.